we were getting all the time, where's your manga section?
Yeah.
What manga do you have? And it's like, well, they're all over the store. Great, you've lost a customer. They're not going to look all over the store.
Come on and visit for any occasion. Don't keep patting down waiting. Comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
Even more exciting than the fact that I sharpened my pencil for the notes for this very podcast is what today actually is.
What's that?
And it's a day that we talked about very recently, but I'm man enough to admit it snuck up on me, and I almost forgot.
Okay.
But today, Anne Boleyn's Silverline EP is available.
Wow.
You can buy it, you can order the vinyl, you can stream it in all your streaming services.
No matter who's listening to this right now, it is already available for you to get.
Yes. So, put this on pause. Go look it up. Anne Boleyn, Anberlin, one word. Not like a woman named Anne Berlin, or a woman who's from Berlin. From Anne Boleyn. No, from Berlin. Silverline, one word. Go listen.
I assume you've been listening to it today.
I mean, I couldn't tell you how many times.
Good.
Lots.
You liked it then?
Lots.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the production is different than recent Anne Boleyn. Well, I can't say recent Anne Boleyn. The last one was 2014. From this is a musical progression. Some of it's heavier than they normally are, and some of it isn't. But sometimes the vocals are mixed down a little bit, and there's a lot of effects on it.
That's weird.
Like a lot of
usually they keep
like
the vocals
gate.
real front and center,
Right,
in
yeah.
their mixing.
Yeah, so there's a kind of a heavy gate on some of it, which I think they're using to emphasize what the lyrics are, but I can't quite tell what the lyrics are because I can't hear the vocals well enough.
Sure.
And then there's a couple of chorus-type elements. So, like, with other voices, like children or other non-band member voices. So it's a little different from them.
Sure.
5 tracks, 22 minutes.
EP. That's
Yeah.
pretty standard.
Yeah, I'd heard 2 of the songs before. Two Graves, which is the heaviest song on the album, on the AP. It's they lead off with it. It's a song about revenge, not vengeance.
No, not Batman.
Not Ryan from The Office. Not BJ Novak. But yeah, that's out right now. Also, there's this is an amazing day because a new Night Flight Orchestra song dropped.
Oh.
Sammy Hagar and the Circle announced their next album. Richie Kotzen and Adrian Smith have a live album not out, but coming out with a single or two already.
Cool.
And an EP, a live EP. So, I mean...
Great day for music.
Quite an interesting day of music that was mainly Anne Boleyn.
Yeah.
And even more times than I thought it would be. But you get involved in stuff and you...
You have it on repeat, you stop paying attention.
Exactly.
Sure, I get it.
It just flows over you. But what Samantha and I were doing, and I know you're thinking, Samantha, it's a Friday.
It's a Friday, Patrick.
Yes, it's a rare Friday Samantha visit. We still were in contact with Gina just to make sure the day felt right.
Good. Was she having a cocktail somewhere?
There was some cheersing. There was. Also, a double visit from Marcus Hardy.
Oh, okay.
That was a Radio 1 reference I just
Thank
did.
you. Thank you for
I didn't
the
want to
context.
elaborate, but I knew you looked like, what the...
I did not know what you were referencing.
Marcus came in. Since we had his stuff in a cart already, checked him out in seconds.
In seconds, ready to go.
And I said, "Aren't you impressed?" He's like, "What? I always get good service." I'm like, "No, you walk in and it took you like 30 seconds to pay. You're done."
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh yeah, that you guys treat me so well here." So then he went over to Ava's, got us all Italian ice, and came back.
Oh.
Yeah, right.
Very nice of Marcus.
That was the double yawn pause.
Yep.
Thanks to Dal. Not getting one out in the beginning of it.
No.
Snuck out now.
Yep. Built up to it.
So anyway, as I was saying before I was rudely yawn-interrupted, there was a head back, full
Really getting into
full
it.
howl,
Taking
almost
a full bite out of it.
silent. Yeah. As I was trying to mention, before I was really interrupted by my own yawn,
Uh-huh.
what Sam and I were doing today was following up on the heels of what was done yesterday by Molly Jane and Stella, but also following up on a conversation you and I had in the car yesterday.
Yes.
Yesterday, we took one of our pilgrimages out to Glendale Heights to go to Southern Hobby and load up on some stuff. I have a smaller car now, so we can't hold as many things, but we went, we was all board heavy.
Sure.
And I hadn't realized, or I guess you just told me, a task you had given Molly Jane and Stella when they first became a team.
Yeah, something like that.
That was
you're asking for me to explain it?
Yeah.
You and Patrick had talked a while ago about the potential of having a young adult section. A YA section is something that the book market has had for a long time, and they've found great success in that category. We have toyed with the idea of doing it, but at times it's felt like maybe there wasn't enough content, or that we didn't have a way to define it well enough to know what should go in there, and we didn't want to risk certain books being in a young adult section that someone might look for in another section, and then just assume we don't have it. But eventually the young adult market in comics had matured enough, become a young adult even, that it was reasonable to try and execute a young adult section in Challengers. The twin problems we had were, one, figuring out what should go in that section, and two, figuring out where that section should go.
Yeah, I mean, we have our space fairly well accounted for, and while we have a very large all ages section, there's a level of graduation, if you will, from sidekicks before you get into Challengers proper.
Yeah.
And that's the YA section, and the content is there, but a problem that I think we had is really understanding what would be young adult and what wouldn't be sidekicks. And we were cheating and putting a lot of YA stuff in sidekicks, but not all of it.
Yeah, certainly things like we would take the DC young adult graphic novels, specifically say graphic novels for young adults, and put those in the superhero section, but the superhero audience isn't really who those books are intended for. A lot of that stuff is very superhero light in favor of different themes. And we had books like Heartstopper that were published by Graphics that we were keeping in the Sidekicks younger reader section. But those books are really intended for the audience that's slightly older than Sidekicks audience. Like, there's profanity in Heartstopper, and that's a thing where it's like, that should really be at least like 15 or 16.
Yeah.
But the problem is you put that in like the drama section, and it's like a lot of the stuff in the drama section is definitely mature readers, and the crossover isn't really there. So we needed a dedicated section. So months back I was talking to Molly Jane, who I think had maybe brought it up again, and I sort of said, not to use a Challenger's catchphrase, that sounds like more of a Molly Jane problem. So I gave it to Molly Jane as solve this. Like, what you need to do is you'll need to figure out what books that we have currently should be in the young adult section. Go through our Shopify database, and we have every graphic novel that's in there is currently tagged for whatever section you'd find it in. So go in and tag it for YA. So when we have to search for something, we know that it should go in the YA section. And alternately, so we can make a young adult category on the website, in our online storefront, so that we can have a thing on the homepage that says young adult. People click that, and here's all the young adult graphic novels we have. Once you've done that and you have your full list, then you need to separate all that stuff out from wherever it is in the store and then make a section for it. And we'd had an idea of doing it as we have a row of blue bookshelves that we took over from the old defunct Challengers River North location.
It doesn't sound like a thing I remember.
And the thought was, just take the last bookshelf and make that the YA section, because a lot of the YA stuff is drama-oriented. And you'll be pulling a lot of books from the drama section, so you should be able to make one empty bookshelf and then fill that up with stuff. And then, depending on how that section goes, we grow it or we don't. We kind of, monitor the sales to see how it's doing.
What a revolutionary idea.
Not really.
FYI,
we were at a conference 6 years ago?
Yeah,
7 years ago? Where Gina Gagliano, who at that time was at First Second, hosted a panel where it's like, you should have a YA section in your comic shop, because the YA category is huge in bookstores. It's an untapped market. There's a lot of readers that you'll gain from doing that, and we could just never figure out a way to make it a reality. So not only is this not like a fresh new idea from Challengers, this is something we arguably should have done like 5 years ago.
Way behind the curve on this.
Yeah. But we did it. We finally did it.
Sure. And it's one of those things where, like, I am lax in keeping up with our LGBTQIA+ section as far as tagging the new releases when they come in.
Me too. Like, we have a couple sections on the website for, like, #1 issues or first volumes for graphic novels. And I honestly update those sections, like, maybe every 2 or 3 months. I should do it every week, but I don't.
Yeah, the same. I should go through. But honestly, I think deciding what's YA and what isn't is harder. So I'm glad that Molly Jane is doing it. The official tag in the system for the YA books, young adult.
Yeah, I think there was a like the 2 words as one.
Yeah.
Like,
hashtag
10-letter thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think originally she had put YA in there, and I think we were finding very quickly that because it was finding every word with like YA in it.
Okay.
That it was like you're better to have it be young adult because you can search for that and tag it a lot easier. I think that's why it's that way.
I assumed it was hey, you can't just do 2 letters, that'd be dumb.
I mean, you can, but it was just it was not nearly as effective in bulk tagging. I think that was why, but keep in mind this was 4 months ago probably.
Sure.
I don't remember.
So while you and I were in the car on the way home, because let's face it, most of our conversations are thorough, in-depth, well-researched, and all business.
Yes.
And we had just come up with an idea of how to free up some of the IKEA shelf space from what we have in the same section in the front.
Yeah, to do a discount section.
Is that what it was for?
It was, but that's fine. I can find a different place for it.
Huh. Okay. I guess I forgot that part.
That's fine. I sort of figured you did when you sent me a photo of the New York Adult section using the bookshelf that I was going to put all of the discount books on. But I'll find a different section.
Well, so one of the things I'll get back to that.
Okay.
Yeah. Huh.
It's okay.
It's funny because the entirety of it in my head was young adult.
Okay.
And I acknowledge you talking all about a discount section.
Yes.
And I also...
I was literally going to start working on it on Sunday.
I acknowledge that well, I mean...
I still will. I just don't know where it's going to go.
Well, look, there is still a entirely empty blue bookshelf.
Okay. Maybe we'll do that then.
I was going to use that for YA Overflow, but...
Yeah.
Because, put it this way.
Uh-huh.
1 8-cube calyx shelf...
Right, which is 100 plus inches of linear space?
Yeah, like 108 altogether.
Sure. Something like that.
That is almost exactly what a 3-shelf blue bookshelf holds.
Yes.
So we didn't gain anything except the top.
Okay.
So right now we just have callouts on the top, but we
Yes.
could physically do another shelf up there. With
Yeah.
bookends and whatnot.
Yeah.
Here's one of the... I'm getting ahead of myself, but here's one of the problems is right now we have 2 volumes of Heartstopper with 2 copies each.
Yeah.
We reorder those like 5, 6 at a time. There's no room for those on the shelf.
No, so there's one thing I noticed, and I don't know how this was all split up, but I saw all of Monstrous in the YA section.
Okay.
Do you know if that's every Monstrous graphic novel?
didn't edit anything on the shelves.
Okay, because that's one of the few things that I would look at and go, we should have some of that in sci-fi fantasy. Because people do find that series. There are adults that are just buying that series.
And that's the bigger problem with genre racking, because we count manga as a genre. It's not.
It's a medium.
It's a medium. So there's a ton of stuff that, like, I would say half of our manga section is YA.
Oh yeah.
But we're never going to pull the YA stuff out of it.
I mean, 80% of the audience that we have for the manga section are the same teen readers that read YA stuff.
Yeah.
However, so this is the thing where years ago we used to do... We've moved back and forth with how we shelve manga. Originally we had a separate section, but then it was like, hey, manga is just comics. Like, that's just comics from another part of the country. We don't have a separate section for, like, European graphic novels that have been translated. Why do we have a separate section for Japanese comics? So we filtered all those into whatever genre category they should belong to. Horror graphic novels go in the horror section, and sci-fi manga goes in the sci-fi section.
And that was a huge mistake.
It was a huge mistake because, as we found out, for all intents and purposes, manga is a genre. Like, yeah, there's people, like, it's not all-encompassing. People don't read every type of manga. Like, there are people who read specifically, yuri manga or boys love manga or action manga or horror manga or sci-fi manga or whatever. Like, but when we were getting all the time, where's your manga section?
Yeah.
What manga do you have? And it's like, well, they're all over the store. Great, you've lost a customer. They're not going to look all over the store. They just want the manga section.
Yep.
As soon as we put manga back in one place, it started selling again. So no, we will never do like manga, in other sections. However, honestly, I would love, if we had limitless space, yes, there would be a horror manga section and a drama manga section and a humor manga section.
I mean, we do have a kids manga section.
Right. I mean, that's different. That's just content warning sort of stuff where it's like, I would rather have the Pokemon stuff all the way away from like the Junji Ito horror manga.
Why?
Why not?
Pokemon are horrific creatures.
They're not nearly as horrific as Junji Ito's manga. So yeah, I mean, I would love to do that. And there may be a point where we look at the 4 bookshelves that we have for manga and we go, okay, how do we split these up into different sections? But we don't have nearly enough space to really do that because you would need...
I mean, if we had 1/4 of our manga was horror, fine.
Right. It doesn't evenly divide like that.
No.
You'd have to do like 6 bookshelves and then 3 bookshelves, or 3 literally shelves, not like cabinets. Like we have 4 cabinets, but you'd have to do like 1.5 cabinets of horror and then a third a cabinet of humor, and it's like this.
Yeah,
it's you just do it alphabetically. Then at that point, you can't tell the difference.
Again, Heartstopper is one of the rare. Okay, it's on the YA section.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, well, Heartstopper's not manga.
I mean, it's manga-esque.
No, it's not. Yeah, I don't know that I would move the manga over to the YA section because it's that the same audience is already looking in the manga section.
No, we definitely wouldn't.
Yeah, but yeah, Monstrous is something I would probably split shelf. But a lot of the other stuff, like moving over things like Blankets or Bloom or whatever, like fine. That's just YA. It's totally fine.
That's what they were. That's why
I mentioned them.
Yeah.
I looked at the photo.
Because those ones on the top.
Yeah.
You know why they're on top? Because they're the thickest ones.
Sure.
And we could use that space. So we came up with a different idea for our local/zine section, right? Because currently it had a 2-foot by like 6-foot high wall and then an 8-cube Kallax shelf. And we were able to, without removing any product, cut it down to just that 2-foot wall section.
Yeah.
Those boxes are tight now.
I assume they are.
Because not only did we have 6 boxes that had to be 4, we had 2 cubes full of graphic novels that had to get put back in the boxes. To an extent. But anyway, if you really look at, like, I think the local section now is adorable.
Yeah, it's
like
section.
A boutique little area.
I think there was always the risk of people not seeing the local stuff that was in the Kallax cubes and just seeing the stuff that was on the wire rack.
And now I think that the Kallax cubes definitely stand out.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think it's good. It was a fun solution that we had on the drive back from Southern Hobby.
Yeah. That I implemented immediately.
You did? Where did you find that 2x2?
In IKEA.
Oh, did you go buy it already?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Yeah, I got up early.
Okay.
IKEA opens at 10.
You went out to Schaumburg?
I went out to Schaumburg.
Wow, okay.
I went out to IKEA.
Very cool.
I grabbed that. I was there. I was with the crowd of people waiting to get in IKEA when it opens.
There's a crowd?
There were people waiting.
Was it for the... Did you get like a tray of cinnamon rolls as well?
Dal, they don't do those anymore.
No? Do they do meatballs?
I didn't ask. I wasn't looking for meatballs. They do make cinnamon rolls. They don't do trays.
Okay.
You have to buy them individually.
Okay.
And they are a very different creature.
Okay.
They're bigger and flat. They're like this thick.
Like an inch thick? Okay.
Yeah. And they're not like... They used to be like Cinnabon, right? Think of a Cinnabon.
Okay.
Those are like, 3 inches high.
Sure.
And more like a little tight square. I know it's circle, but...
Sure.
Yeah, the IKEA ones now are spread out.
Okay.
And they have a little drizzling on top.
I see.
So yeah, I did buy 2 singles.
Sure.
And even though they were fresh out of the oven, they were hard by the time they get home.
Wow.
Yeah. And what's more, because there were some fruit flies buzzing around, I kept the lid closed.
Sure.
So at the end of the day, I'm like, Sam, you never had your cinnamon roll. She forgot it was there because she couldn't see it.
Oh.
So she ate it like 6 hours later, 7 hours later after I got it. So yeah, I flew out to IKEA this morning.
Great.
Got back in decent enough time. However, the garage door wouldn't open.
Oh, weird.
And I got blocked out of the alley by Delgado's again.
Wow.
So I had to go find somewhere to park, go in, open the garage door from the inside. It's fine now.
Okay.
Don't know. I don't know what happened.
Great.
Like, it just, you know how it sometimes gets locked?
Sure.
I think it got locked, but I don't know how it would have gotten locked.
Don't know.
Anyway. So, yeah, I went out and bought the shelf because I'm like, I want to get this done.
Yeah.
And looking ahead, I'm like, I don't know the next time I'm going to be in Schaumburg.
Yeah.
And I don't want to make a trip on a weekend because, you know, it's a day off.
Of course.
So, I got it, built it,
Great.
reinforced it, you know, put in the patented Challenger's bracket system.
Great.
And then we got about, we took 3 shelves off of the local section, but then added one back no, we still took 3 off. We moved things around.
Sure.
There's the Rachel Bard books are now on top of the Calyx, but also behind them are thick-spined graphic novels of a certain height.
Okay.
Like, smaller than comic book size.
Right.
Because nothing else would fit because of the shelf right above it.
Sure.
So anyway, Sam did all the condensing, and then we went through all the boxes and pulled out. Once we figured out, like, oh, we're going to put a row of graphic novels here, pulled those out.
Mm-hmm.
And then what we did was move. So we had an empty 8-cube Calyx, right?
Yes.
So we moved all of the how-to books over into that one, rather than pull that one out and try to move a full shelf.
Very heavy.
Then we took the empty one out, moved it out, pulled the
Blue bookshelves.
artist editions,
Oh, yeah,
the single Calyx, moved that down. Then they had put the YA books as the very first shelf, so we pulled that out, crunched the other 3 down, put that one back at the end, and then moved the empty, what is now the YA shelf, into the door.
Right.
So it's, you know, doesn't matter that it's not blocking any windows,
Right, exactly.
which it was previously blocking windows.
It was, yeah.
So now it is over by the spinner rack.
Cool.
And then Sam and I both condensed it down. And I really wanted that visual break. You know, I didn't want the YA stuff or the have-off stuff, if that's a thing, to all be in the same section. I wanted a nice break between them.
Sure.
So, yeah. Do we still have a... no, I don't think it would work. Well, maybe. Oh, no, okay. Sorry, I'm thinking about this out loud.
Sure.
When we went back and forth with the red and blue bookshelves for the D&D stuff, like, if we could use a small red shelf for the half-off stuff, that would really help it stand out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
I do. I just don't know where it would go.
Well, I mean, wherever it is now, the blue one would go there. We have an empty blue one, right?
Right.
So if we have, which I don't think we do, but if we had an extra small red one to use as the half off, or the 25% off section, the discount section, it would stand out more.
Yeah.
Because I don't want people to.
Look. Originally, it was going to be on the white Calyx shelves because it would not necessarily blend in with other stuff.
Well, yeah.
It would have a visual identity. But what we can do, I think,
paint it.
No, the manga bookshelf in Sidekicks is red.
Yeah.
We just switched that with the blue one.
Yeah.
So there's a red now out to be the half-off section.
Sure.
The manga one is a blue bookshelf.
The only problem is we can get... Oh, it doesn't matter, because it's manga, and that shelf is pretty empty.
Right.
But you may not have... You can't fit 3 shelves on a red bookcase. Those are 2.
You can. It's not great, and
it depends on.
Well, you can only really do up to regular height graphic novels.
Sure.
Anything that's oversized is probably not.
But I think it's okay to start with just 2 shelves because we don't. Like, where's all the discount stuff coming from?
There's stuff we can pull.
Sure, but I mean,
stuff we can pull.
You can mitigate that to only be, 6 feet of product as opposed to 9 feet.
It could.
Like, you seem like you're disappointed already. Like, oh no, I want more.
I don't think it's worth doing. I mean, I think only 6 feet of discount stuff doesn't really make sense to me. Like, I think 9 feet is
okay. 9 feet is a full shelf, so there you go.
Yeah, and I mean, if it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit, and I'll go down to 2 shelves. But I'd rather start with 3 and figure out if it works. The thing with 3 is, as long as it's a regular height graphic novel or smaller, it'll fit fine.
Well, that's on you then, isn't it?
the problem is there's so much stuff that you want to discount that is oversized because that's the stuff that A, takes up a ton of space, B, no one's buying.
Yeah.
Like, that's the stuff that you look at on the drama section, you're like, God damn, I wish we hadn't ordered this ridiculous art graphic novel from Drawn and Quarterly or whatever. Like, no one cares. And that's the stuff I want to blow up, but that's probably the stuff that's not going to fit.
Yeah, I know exactly the book you're talking about.
I mean, I wasn't talking about one specific book. I'm talking about a lot of books.
I wonder. Well, whatever. Well, that's what the top is for. All the oversized stuff.
I don't want to put stuff on top. That's where people are doing their bags and boards and stuff.
There's still room. There's still plenty of room.
The problem with putting stuff up there, as we found out, is that people misunderstand what's discounted and what's not then. I mean, if you're going to do a discount section, it has to be crystal clear exactly what is discounted and where those discounts are and how much those discounts are. Because otherwise people will look at anything in the vicinity and go, oh, this is discounted, right?
Yeah.
Which is probably still going to happen.
Also, you're going to want to do some measurements because I think the red ones are a little bit wider than the blue ones.
I was going to do a bunch of measurements anyway. I don't know if this is going to work.
Okay.
I mean, you can do measurements tomorrow. Just measure the two
on
bookshelves.
my Saturday? I don't think so.
You moved a bunch of stuff around. Just do 2 measurements.
Well,
how's this? Does
you know
this fit?
why we could do all this stuff today?
What's that, Patrick?
What didn't we get for the second day in a row?
UPS.
No UPS.
Crazy.
And we know there were books due today from Diamond, and we know there were books due yesterday from Diamond.
Well, that just means that Monday's delivery is going to be insane.
Yeah. And I feel bad for you guys already.
It's going to be the weekly PRH delivery, which is Marvel and IDW, and some other distributors that we get graphic novels from.
Days of reorders and stuff.
Many reorders.
I don't know what. Like, I never saw UPS. Is there a strike or something?
I have no idea.
Is because, on the one hand, it's like, oh, it sucks. We haven't gotten stuff in 2 days. On the other hand, is this a bigger problem?
No idea. We never get any sort of advisory from UPS when stuff is coming or not coming. You can check the tracking data. I'll check it after we finish recording, but I don't know if it's going to have anything beyond like a new delivery date.
Yeah. Yeah. No UPS for 2 days, and that's unheard of, especially when we know books should arrive.
Yeah. Like USPS is no surprise. But UPS.
I didn't say we didn't get mail.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, we have had plenty of days in a row of no USPS, and we're used to that. But UPS, I can't think of the last time that's been a non-holiday day that we haven't had a UPS delivery. Like, something is always showing
every
up.
day. Yeah. We did get mail today, and it was 2 individual packages from Simon & Schuster.
Okay.
When I say individual, I mean one book in one of those pressed cardboard envelopes, right?
Those. Yeah.
So, 2 graphic novels. Mm-hmm. Pulled separately because they're 2 different orders. How bad do you have to be at your job when you mispull one book out of a 1-book order?
Pretty bad.
In place of the Vault Kids book, Hello, My Name is Poop, we instead got a biology textbook.
Ooh, about poop?
No.
Oh, that's a total miss then.
Right?
Yeah.
The ISBN numbers weren't the same.
Crazy.
Price point was different.
Format's different.
They were both blue covers, though.
Okay.
I mean, Hello, My Name is Poop has a blue background.
It's also a tiny book. And
Yeah.
I assume a biology textbook is significantly larger.
This was a soft cover, smaller textbook.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, come on.
Pretty bad.
It's one book. You're pulling one book for an order.
It's 100% wrong.
And then it's all the time I have to waste because it's Simon & Schuster, so I have to email them and say, hey, here's the invoice number.
Hey.
Here's the book we didn't get. Mm-hmm. Here's the ISBN number of that. Here's the ISBN number of the book we did get.
Yeah, I mean, I
Please only give us credit. We'll reorder this book. Then I have to go into the purchase order and delete that book.
So we know to reorder it. Yeah, I have a template that I use that I just plug stuff in, but even that's a pain.
Sure.
Because you still have to get all the information there.
Where is that template for future references?
Oh, I mean, in my inbox. Like, I just find an old email and I go copy paste.
I don't know if you had a...
it's not on like a desktop or a Google Doc or anything.
We should probably have a doc with all these things because we need them all.
Yeah, I find it easy just to find an old email and, you search by the name of the company or the address that you're sending the email to and you just go here, cut and paste.
Well, this is off topic, but somebody came in looking for a web order, and as I'm digging through the web order box, I see that there's somebody who ordered a bunch of when we had them, 8 Billion Genies van variants, and their address is Nevada.
Yeah. So that one is in there because I emailed them to go, hey, you're in another state. Do I need to, send you an invoice for shipping? Are you coming to pick these up? No response. So it's like, all right, fill the order, put it in the box.
Oh, wow. All right. Because I know somebody...
If they want to email us at some point and complain that their order has not been shipped out, I will gladly redirect them to the email I sent them within 24 hours of their order saying, hey, you chose local pickup.
Hey. I know there was somebody recently who that happened and we did it, and they're like, no, I'm going to be in Chicago. I'll pick it up.
Yeah.
Which is great.
And again, all I can do is reach out using the email you provided to say, hey, there's a discrepancy with the order you placed, and if you don't get back to me, I'm going to assume there's not a discrepancy, and I'm just going to fill it.
So the person who was picking up the order today, it was from a little bit ago, so we're digging through the box, finally found it, here you go. And he takes it, he's about to leave, he goes, wasn't there 2? I go, well, there's 2 books there. No, 2 separate orders. I go, oh, let me double check. Go through the whole box. I'm like, nope. Let me go online. Let me go look it up. No, you've only ever placed 1 order with us, ever. Just this 1 order. And he said, oh, I must not have hit checkout.
Can't help with that, buddy.
Yeah, I know. It's like,
Monday night, I think, I asked Molly Jane to help me with the task of going through the web order box and marking as picked up anything that had been picked up, because sometimes people miss that, and it stays in
I go
memory.
Through, on Fridays, I'll go through sometimes.
So we did that, and then I also went through anything that had not been picked up that was local pickup, curbside pickup I didn't go through. And then message people to say, hey, it's been 2 months, 3 months, 6 months since you placed an order. Please come get your things. And it looks like at least one person did.
What about an Avengers Endgame Iron Man pop?
Yeah.
What about that?
Glow in the dark.
Yeah, we still regularly get the error of people ordering books from different cities. Mm-hmm. And the one order from today, I'm like, they did it again. This person, they paid for shipping. Never mind.
Yep.
It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good. So I go after the order. I run out to go pull it. Mm-hmm. And then I get...
Good pick, too.
Sure. Then I get there. I'm like, oh, no. Did they ask for volume 1 or volume 2? Let's guess 1. And it was 1.
Great.
I mean, otherwise I would have had to walk all the way back to the Legion of Superheroes section.
For Before the Darkness, volume 2 instead of volume 1.
Right. But it was volume 1.
Nice.
So that's packed up and ready to go.
Yay.
We got a really great promotional package from Valiant today for Bloodshot.
Oh, cool.
And it's an Ash Cannon #1, who's a poster. We'd already gotten one of those posters from Danny before.
Yeah.
But they did one of the most clever promotional items.
Okay.
Now, Bloodshot is their first, R-rated book. It's a heavy R-rated book.
Cool.
So, I mean, even, the poster is his face getting blown off with bullets.
Oh, okay.
So, I don't know that we'll be hanging it up.
Yeah.
But, anyway, it's... in the image looks like... what do you call Matrix? Bullet time? What is the...
Bullet time.
Okay. So it looks kind of like that.
Okay.
So they sent a shot glass with a bullet embedded in the side of the glass.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's very clever.
Danny had, in fact, sent me the photo of that when it, the prototype. She's like, I can't believe it looks this good.
It's great.
It looks pretty great. It's
great.
A
shot glass.
Yeah, exactly. It is a shot glass. Yeah, exactly right. So I threw a bunch of bookmarks down, took a photo, and sent it to them to say, hey, we got it,
cool.
and thank you. That was a fun thing. You and I had decided that we need to do more...
promotional content?
Yeah, of the books that we sell.
Yeah.
That we love. Last Tuesday night, at about 1 o'clock, I was reading my... the books that I read, for the new books for the week. Mm-hmm. And it was stacked 6 books. And when I got done, I'm like, man, I enjoyed all 6 of these books. We do a little bit of promotion for the new #1s and stuff, but what? Oh, I read the PDF of A Calculated Man 3.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's so fun.
I was reading, before we started recording, I was reading Batman 126.
Yeah, I read that too. I read the PDF of that, actually.
That's the punchline, is that I was reading it, and I'm like, God, this seems really familiar. Page. Did I read a preview of this? Like, did Zdarsky send out something in his email? No, God, I read this whole story. Well, I probably didn't read the Catwoman backup. Nope, I read this too. Oh, right, there was a promotional PDF from DC that was the entire comic book, so it's like, all right, done with that.
Yeah, I just did the cursor flip, like, I read all this and did the backup. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good story. It is. It's a hell of an ending to that issue.
It's good.
The Catwoman backup is good.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I think the Zdarsky Batman comic is pretty good right now.
Yeah. Did you read the end of Public Domain 4 in today's email?
Yes.
Great stuff.
It really is. It's a fun comic book. Somebody had come in over the last few days, not the last 2 days because I didn't work, but they had come in and said that we had recommended issue 1 to them, and they loved it. And they were buying issue 2. So it's like, the book is connecting with people. Like,
I'm not saying people need to blindly buy everything that Chip Zdarsky writes.
No.
I do.
That's weird.
But I really enjoy Public Domain, and of course Batman and Daredevil.
Yeah. Those are good books.
And Public Domain is a harder sell because it's a book about creators' rights, but it's a good family dramedy, too.
Yeah.
And I know that there's not a lot of action in it.
There's some fights.
There's some. Not a lot,
but it's not really a fight sort of book.
Right. But, okay, so this week, I hate this place. It's really moving along well.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff happens every issue.
Pretty crazy issue.
I thoroughly enjoyed that. Something is Killing the Children. We're at part 5 of the current storyline, and I thought, the first 2 issues were slow, but now things are happening, and I love when they do you don't read this book, but...
No.
They do this thing because only certain people can see the monsters.
Okay.
Children and Erica.
Sure.
So when you see a fight scene from an adult's eyes, it's just the weirdest thing.
Sure.
Because it's like Erica hanging upside down, but then suddenly her arm bursts open.
Sure. Did you hear how many issues he wants to do for that series?
I did not.
75.
Okay. I mean, he's a third of the way there.
I guess.
That's not...
It's almost halfway done.
Look in the heydays of Sandman or Preacher,
I mean, Sandman specifically, I think, is when I heard 75, I'm like, oh, that's right. He's a huge Sandman guy. That's right.
That's fine.
Right.
Did you read Tales of the Human Target?
No, I didn't.
Oh God, it's so good.
I've been so bad with DC PDFs.
Yeah, I know, but most of the stuff is you can, and I'm bad with the Marvel ones because I don't have that login because I have the DC account.
Right.
And Box doesn't like you having multiple.
Hate that. I've said it before, but I really dislike how difficult it is to read different publishers' PDFs. Like, most independent publishers are great because it's like, either here's just a link to read it online, or here's a link to download it. And it's like, this is great. I don't need to log in anything. I don't need a separate account.
Yeah.
DC's
all the
box
stuff is just emails.
Incredibly inconvenient. Especially because it's every time you log in, you have to do a dual-factor authentication thing, and it's like, I'm just reading a goddamn Batman comic. I don't.
Yeah, it's already
this isn't my bank account.
It's already going to be populated with the Challenger's name all the way across it.
Yeah,
every page.
Oh, God forbid anyone finds out that the Joker's got a new scheme. Oh no. And the Marvel stuff is easier to access, but it's also largely worthless because it's things where it's like, oh, it's the next issue of Fantastic Four, and it's like, well, there's been 60 years of Fantastic Four. I think I have a pretty good idea on how to order it by now. It's never issue 1 of something, except it has been every issue of AXE Judgment Day, which is great.
Wow, what are you up to?
I think it's 3 or 4.
Okay, I'm only on 1. But again, I have difficulty with the Marvel stuff.
Sure.
I don't have it with the DCs.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I'll be out randomly and I'll get a box verification code. So I'm like, I just sent it to you, and if it's not you, I assume it's Molly Jane.
At this point, I should probably just reach out to Albert Ching or somebody and be like, hey man, we can't have one account for all of Challengers, 3 different people read it, and the dual factor authentication is Patrick's phone.
Yeah.
That's not helpful. Please give us at least 2 different accounts so we can manage this better. I just haven't gotten around to it.
Sure. Now I'm trying to remember what else I read this week, and I'm not doing a good job.
No, that's why I think my suggestion was to try and do something Tuesday night when Molly Jane and I are all in the store. We're putting the books out. There's more of an availability to be like, oh, let's look at the shelves. What did we like? Because we read these things over such a long span of time that it can be difficult sometimes to remember, like, what was good and what are we excited about without the tactile experience of picking up the book and going, oh, this was great.
We had 2 people today want to sign up for Axe Judgment Day.
Cool.
By the way, there was a great David Harper interview with Joshua Williamson and Kieran Gillen.
Oh, interesting.
Simultaneously on Zoom.
Sure.
So it was all about the idea of the big summer crossover.
Right.
And when Kieran Gillen said, yeah, so when I'm working on Axe, and Joshua Williamson cut in and said, hey, I'm so glad to hear you call it Axe, because that's how most people refer to it. And Kieran goes, oh, no, I hate that. I always call it Judgment Day, but it's been beaten into me that it's Axe, so I say that now begrudgingly.
Sometimes you don't get to decide how people take your art, man.
I know.
Like, people come up with weird names, and it's like, that's just what it is now. I'm sorry. It's Baby Yoda forever. I don't care that you don't like that, or that's not official. Baby Yoda.
But, so 2 people wanted to add it today, and weirdly, I have to start them each at number 4, because even though you click, select older items,
Right.
it only comes up with a handful of variants for 3, not the A cover. But anyway,
Okay.
after you do that, you look in their account, it says they're starting with number 2.
No. So, it will... No matter when someone's start date is, Managed Comics will always say that the subscription they're down for is whatever the next issue is.
Okay. And
Which is
you've told me this before.
I've told you this before, is endlessly confusing because people will see that and go, oh, I'm taking care of it. It's like, no, because we already ordered 2 a month and a half ago.
Right.
You're going to get 3 or 4. For the other problem, what I would do if you were seeing that, if you can't find the next
Put them
issue...
in as special orders.
No. Go to PRH's site, find out what the UPC is for that issue, copy that over, and then search for just that UPC under Search Old Items.
Okay.
And see if that'll surface it. That's what I would do.
Well, then I have to make sure Robert Salazar and Mickey Neely get those books.
I can take care of it after this.
That's why I said it out loud, hoping you would say that.
Figured.
And I know you'll remember those names.
I probably won't, but I'll remember at least one of them.
That's fine.
But yeah, I'll take care of that. It's an unfortunate, dumb workaround. I am saying this out loud, and I'm saying this in this tone of voice, so that Brian Garside knows I'm speaking directly to him.
I'm not even paying attention because you're not talking.
One
it's
of
tone
the
of voice,
things I need Managed Comics to do after the POS tile is completed, and not until then,
which should be in a week.
I hope so, is to change the way subscriptions are listed, both for the consumer side and the manager side.
How do you mean, Dal?
I don't want it to say, like, the subscription just needs to be the title. There needs to be a separate field for what the next issue is going to be and a separate field for what the cover is going to be. Because what we'll frequently see on people's accounts and what they will sign up for and see on their accounts, and it will be confusing to them, is it'll say something like, Batman cover A, next issue 126, but then there will be a thing saying cover B after that. Because the name of the subscription is Batman cover A. Like, that needs to be separated out because people, you'll have a subscription that says cover A, but it's actually cover B, and there's a vestigial thing that says cover B next to it, but people aren't seeing that. They're seeing the thing that says cover A. And so
Batman 126 cover A, B.
Yeah. So that's confusing. And again, just the fact that it will always say what the next issue to ship is, not the next issue the person's receiving. That discrepancy is very confusing to people and needs to be solved because it is, especially with the way that order cutoffs happen and orders close and how, like, there needs to be a lot more clarity both on, again, the consumer side and the retailer side for exactly what issue that person's subscription starts at. A start date, not helpful to me, not helpful to them. It needs to be very clear, like, you are getting 127. You know, the next issue might be 126. Your subscription is 127 and up. That needs to be corrected sometime after the POS tile is completed and working correctly.
Well, now you can always go onto their roadmap and vote on what you want to see happen next.
I could. And I should. And I probably will. But good Lord, that's the thing that I'm going to mention right now because it is fresh in my brain.
I can verify that they are looking at a way to add stuff to people's boxes that already exists.
Great. Yeah, I think that was a thing that I'd mentioned to Brian months ago as a thing that would help us a lot, quality of life sort of stuff. But I figured it was on the roadmap somewhere.
Yeah, it's literally, unless you are ringing people up every day, you don't realize the little idiosyncrasies of like, oh, people will have 10 books on hold, buy 5 of them, but then add 2 more that weren't there for next time.
Right.
It's, if it were as easy as just people buying their entire stack every time, which most people do, let's be realistic.
But again, like the problem is not what most people do, it's what a small amount of people do that make it more difficult.
Yep.
When there was a Managed Comics Thought Stream a couple weeks ago where Brian was showing off the POS tile, he showed it off and he said, you know, here's everything in someone's account and I'm just going to hit this button and everything they have is going to go to the cart. And when the second I saw that, my hands gripped the arms of my chair so tight and I leaned forward to shout at the YouTube recording, no, what street date stuff, the stuff they don't want to buy. You can't move everything. No. And then literally the next comment that someone had put in the live chat was like, what about if they don't want to get everything in their account? What if I only want to move over 8 of the 10 things in their account to the cart and leave 2 back for next time? And it's exactly like why the thought streams are valuable, because it was clearly a thing where Brian had not encountered that and had not considered that. And very quickly you could see the gears turning of like, yes, that's super critical. Yes, we should do that. Yes, I'm going to tell the programmers to do that. So it was great. It was like a totally solved problem. I didn't have to send an email going, Brian, no.
I don't know of any...
But there was 25 to 30 seconds of my heart stopping, where it was like, you can't. No, don't push that out.
I don't know of any other programming type of company where you would have this kind of direct access and how willing the people that own it are to work with people.
Yeah, honest to God, it's one of the main reasons that we ended up going with Managed Comics, despite it not necessarily being as feature-rich as Comic Suite and RMH were at the time. There was a real sense that Managed Comics was constantly trying to evolve what they were doing.
And they've proved that.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, the weekly thought streams, the emails, you know, the roadmap site, all of that stuff is way more than we would get from Diamond, where they would just be kind of randomly like a patch notes thing a day before a patch would come out. And you would hope whatever problems you were having were going to be addressed, but sometimes they wouldn't.
And we've heard from other retailers about other systems that do not have this type of accessibility.
Right.
And where often the solution is, we'll do it a different way.
Yeah, the thing with Managed Comics that is kind of a chicken and the egg sort of thing is that basically they need to be a bigger company to move faster and make more improvements to the system, but they kind of can't be a bigger company until enough people have signed on, and enough people aren't going to sign on until it's a better product. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're in this sort of nebulous zone of like, it's good, but it's not quite there yet.
We waited for a while.
We did. Yeah, I mean, my hope is that by the end of 2022, a lot of the things that we came into the year hoping to see fixed are fixed, and then improvements beyond that to make it a more intuitive system, both for, you know, the retailers and for the consumers. And then 2023 is a bigger push for Managed Comics to get a lot more people on the platform.
Yeah.
To then, you know, grow it even more, to make more changes, to make a bigger, better product.
We will provide whatever testimonials he's looking for.
We already have.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, for a more robust outreach. Are you a little disappointed that you're not going to get to see Brian next weekend, so you can't give him your binder full of suggestions?
I think Brian is specifically faking an injury so that he doesn't have to come out. I saw a clip of him on the Thought Stream, and just as he was signing off, he went, "Oh, my ankle!" in like the most unconvincing tone of voice, and it's like, "Oh, okay, great, I see where this is going."
Yep.
No, it is disappointing. We had been planning on hanging out with Brian, at least for a dinner at some point over the convention, and hopefully giving him a chance to see kind of what we've done with Managed Comics in our store. That said, we're not going anywhere, and Managed Comics isn't going anywhere, so hopefully later
Brian's
this summer...
not going anywhere. Hey-o!
Not as fast as he was
I
before.
mean, like to...
Oh, my ankle! It's... hopefully later this summer we'll have a chance to hang out with Brian a little bit.
I had one more joke and it went away. I forgot it. I don't know. It wasn't that great then. If it doesn't stay, doesn't want to come back up. But even if, we're still willing to work with Brian on everything.
Absolutely.
Even if he did call me Dal on the Thought Stream yesterday.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Were you live for the Thought Stream?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's funny because I don't get the emails. You do.
Yeah, it's true. Sorry.
And whenever I used to be like, hey, Dal, send me, you gotta send me a link. But I get Facebook notifications, right?
Oh, right, sure.
So I'm like, so I jumped on Facebook. I'm like, why is only one person watching this? Then I realized, oh no, it's on YouTube. You have to go there.
Oh, it doesn't simulcast? I don't know how Facebook works.
I mean, it is, but I don't know if Facebook comments are caught or read or noticed as quickly. And I came in late because we weren't home when it started,
right.
I don't think.
Right.
But
was it useful? I honestly haven't watched it yet.
That's how I was able to tell you that, because I brought up the
putting things in people's boxes?
Yeah, basically it was tips and tricks yesterday.
Okay. And
I came in as somebody was asking a very similar question, and I just said, hey, I missed the first part of this, but were you talking about this? And if so, yay.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had originally talked about the idea of moving away from, set it aside in my box, in favor of I will send you an invoice and you can just pay for it. And while I still think that's better for us in the long term, getting adoption on that from the consumer side is incredibly difficult. I think people who are shopping with us nowadays, the newer customers, probably would be fine with that, but a lot of the people who are asking for hey, throw it in my box, are people who've been with us for 6, 7, 10 years.
Yeah.
And they're used to just saying oh, just throw that aside for me and us doing it, which kind of gets back to the original Patrick thing of you do that and you're going to be doing it forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the reality of the situation is that, there's a lot of people who are put it aside for me. I'll be in this weekend or whatever. And so it's is it worth sending out an invoice for somebody who's going to be in 2 days?
Especially when they have, a box full of other stuff.
Yeah. And my fear, without doing that is always that, well, what if it's a hot book and then the website says that we have a copy and we don't because it's technically in someone's box, but I don't want to reduce down the inventory because then when I eventually ring it up,
you'll have to increase it.
Now it'll be erroneous and I'll have to remember I did that, and it's a gigantic pain. So you're just kind of hoping that for 48 or 72 hours, it's not a hot book.
And look, if something does happen, who would you rather fulfill?
Oh, absolutely. It's no question in that. It's just the hassle of now I've got to refund somebody, and I've got to hope that person is not just... If it's someone who just wants a hot book, then I don't care if we lose them as a customer, because they weren't going to come back unless there was another hot book.
Right.
But the last thing I want to do is have to potentially lose a customer who is someone who just wants to read something and was oh, I was glad I was able to find this book, and now it's you didn't. You thought you did. Here's your money back, and it's... Why would I go to that store again?
Right. Especially if you think, oh, they're just doing it because it's a hot book.
I mean, I honestly never assumed that people thought we were doing that.
I just assumed that the people that wanted it because it's a hot book thought that.
Yeah, probably.
We did sell our last Simon variant today for everybody in Janie's.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we had 11 only total to begin with, so, yeah.
Well, people can maybe get more from Ryan at C2E2.
C2E2, for sure. So, hey,
if you can make your way to Ryan's table from the crowd of people around it.
Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves, because before C2E2, Wes Craig is going to be at Challengers.
Wes Craig.
Next Thursday, the very next Thursday that happens.
Yeah, when you're listening to this, the next Thursday coming up, unless you're listening to this far in the future, in which case you already missed it.
Yeah. Or no, just come in Thursday anyway. We don't care.
Any Thursday. Maybe Wes will be there.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Did the emails back and forth with me and him today, did you get those as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I told him that unfortunately you and I have to go to a lunar thing. He's like, yeah, by all means, do that. He knows what's up.
Yeah, and on top of that, Molly, Jade, and Stella will be there, and they can handle...
Yeah.
They will make it a more fun experience for him than we would.
And I assume Andrew will be there as well to negate the fun you just talked about.
Oh, yeah, that'll be no fun then.
Yeah. Andrew's a good boy.
He's a good boy.
Wes Craig will be in on Thursday from, we're saying 2 o'clock, maybe a little bit earlier, but we're saying 2.
Yeah, he's coming from an airport, so we can't really say exactly what time he's going to show up.
Right. Yeah, and we've had...
So please, people, be respectful of that.
We've had signings, like our Kelly Sue DeConnick signing got pushed back by hours because her flight was delayed and she was coming right from the airport.
Yeah.
We did a John Lehman signing when he just had a layover. Yeah. It was just a layover, so... from the airport to Challengers, right back to the airport to go to where his connecting flight is supposed to be.
Crazy.
That dude just hey, let's do it. You know? That was pretty great. And it was a decent turnout from what I remember as well. For it being such a weird last second,
Sure.
you never know what can happen thing.
Right.
So down I have a lunar presentation. Well, not presentation, but
Yeah,
lunar,
we're not presenting anything. We're going to a conference.
where it'll all be publishers. Probably not Oni, though. I'm assuming not Oni presenting anything.
I would assume.
And then we'll be at C2E2 on Friday. Still plenty of people asking for tickets today. One guy actually, I'm like, no, we haven't sold tickets the last couple times. He's like, oh, okay. And then he like turned into the store. I'm like, is he still going to buy something? No. But
Just looking around.
it's still the thought. And that's honestly a reason we don't sell the tickets, is because it's not additive to us anymore.
No, and I don't know that it needs to be done to support C2E2. Like, that was a thing that in some of the years we were like, we want to promote the show, but it's like, the show does fine. I don't think it needs
I don't know they need our
challengers'
promotion.
help.
Yeah, that's not to say we won't work with them on other things.
Of course not. We'd be happy to if anything they ask of us.
We are big fans of all the people at that company.
Of course.
Most of the people at that company.
Ooh.
Some of the people of the company.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like, some in, like, a lot. Like, like 4 I can name.
Yeah, there you go.
Out of the 6 I can name. See, now I don't even know what's true anymore.
Right.
So it'll be our annual We Were at C2E2, Here's What We Did episode next week.
Be interesting to see kind of what the show looks like in a pre-post-pandemic atmosphere.
Yeah. Pre-post-pandemic is an excellent way to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I assume next year's show will be pushed back because of monkeypox.
Who knows?
So it's hard to tell.
I will say this. I'm very excited to go to a C2E2 in August. Kind of not excited about next year's show being back in the
February, March, April.
Yeah, the February, March window, because, boy, it's so cold in that window. It's a very big window.
I don't
it's very
understand
cold.
why it's that big of a deal, because you only get cold from the car to the floor.
But, like, you got to bring a coat or something.
Yeah, but I always leave my coat in the car and just brave the element, because you're still covered.
I just don't like doing that. Like this, I don't have to worry about it at all. At all. And also, this is the other part.
I'm just going to tell you every, 30 seconds, it's too hot in here.
When we do stuff afterwards with people, it's way easier to do it in August than it is in February, March.
You mean it's easier for people to decide they want to do something?
No, I mean physically, like parking places, because there's not like waist-high snowdrifts.
Sure.
And, people from warmer climates don't have to worry about braving all of the frigid temperatures.
I like how you have this set up, yet we have nothing on the books.
We don't, and honestly, I mean, there's a decent chance we won't be doing anything extra.
But it's easier to do it.
But we could,
No, that's good. I'm saying, but
yeah,
were we too, it's easier to do it.
Yeah, and you can just make plans. I mean, sometimes you run into someone at the show and you're like, hey, what's going on? They're like, oh, they don't have any plans tonight. It's like, great, let's get dinner.
Yeah.
That's great, too.
Or we go home and record a podcast.
I feel like we'll probably do that Thursday night.
No, we can't. I just said next week is our What We Did at C2E2 podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I know you don't listen to these back.
No.
But do you listen as they're being recorded?
No.
I mean, why would you?
No.
I mean, thanks for listening.
And keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.